Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're bringing you the Unbroken Druid Subclass from Griffon Saddlebag, Book 1. So, if you're new to the channel, the series, what we're going to do is go through all the abilities. We're going to write the roleplay, combat, and synergy based on how the abilities gained improve the base class abilities. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Sourcebook bundle giveaway.
Or other related giveaway of choice, potentially, things.
All that being said, let's get right into it. What do we get, Alex?
I was concerned when you were going to go with the Unbroken Circle Druid.
Yeah, because technically, yes, I guess.
But anyway, it's fine. We're going to get improved Shillelagh. Because why not? You gain proficiency with martial weapons starting at level 2. In addition, you learn the Shillelagh cantrip. It's just fun to say it that way. I'm sorry, I can't help it. If you already knew this cantrip, you can learn a different druid cantrip of your choice. The cantrip doesn't count against the number of cantrips known. When you cast Shillelagh, you can use it to imbue any magic weapon you are holding with nature's power. If you're holding a weapon under the effects of the Shillelagh, you can use it as a spellcasting focus for your druid spells.
Yeah, so just straight up buff to your Shillelagh.
Yes.
And you're not going to be upset about that, especially if you're wanting to be a melee druid, because that's kind of like the go-to on there.
Yep.
And if you just want a quick reminder of Shillelagh, we'll put it up on the screen for a second, so take a second. Basically, it's just a minute duration bonus action to cast it, where you can use your spellcasting ability modifier instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls. The die becomes a D8, if it wasn't already.
Yep.
Also becomes magical, so that's essentially it. So just we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the melee focused.
Yes.
Also at level 2 we have Wild Recovery. As a bonus action, you can expend one use of your wild shape to regain a number of hit points equal to 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier. When you reach 10th level in the class, you regain 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier instead.
Level 6 will give us Shillelagh Mastery. When you cast Shillelagh, the weapon's damage die becomes a d10 instead of a d8, so more buff. Great.
More buff.
When you reach level 14, the damage die then becomes a d12, so big swings. In addition, while you're wielding a weapon under the effects of the Shillelagh, you can attack twice instead of once, or take the attack action on your turn using that weapon. So some extra attack for a druid.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Level 10, we get War Druid. When you use your action to cast a druid cantrip, you can make one weapon attack as a bonus action. So it just lets you basically, if you don't want to take 2 attacks with your attack action, you can do a cantrip and still get one weapon attack in.
That's right.
Lastly, at 14, we have Nature Armor. Your connection to nature helps to shield you from harm. At the start of each of your turns, you gain a number of temp HP equal to half of your druid level. So again, get some defense stuff, get some whacking stuff, buff. We'll take it.
You're definitely more in there, for sure, as a druid, for sure.
Those are all the abilities. So we'll move on into the rating portion of the video. First up is the roleplay asterisk. As always, talking about roleplay, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background. That's on you as a player. We can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how they may improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios. Whew. First try.
Got it. First
All
try.
right. Anyways, so looking at this one, you may quickly come to the realization that there's not a ton going on with the roleplay here. I mean, the only thing that you're really going to be working with here is if you're just really creative with, maybe capstone stuff. If you're, being able to cast a cantrip and then hit something that you need to break a wall, but distract somebody. You know what I mean? It's going to be very situational on that, and then also maybe the recovery.
Helping you save your spell slots maybe a little bit with some healing, because you can do it with your wild shape instead.
But that's more like indirect, because then you're freeing up slots that you could be using for healing or whatever, so you have more RPs, that kind of thing. So it is what it is on there. It's just not an RP focused subclass, and that's all right sometimes.
It's very true.
That being said, it's just a 1.5 from us. Just some super niche stuff that you could potentially do, and that indirect from the healing. That kind of helps.
Definitely a stronger focus on combat. Again, with improved Shillelagh, it's one you're going to have anyway, so you get it for free. Extra one, that's also great. I guess also small help to your RP. Take an extra RP cantrip if you wanted to. There.
Sure, that's true.
But so you're probably already going to take anyway as a druid, because it's a druid-specific cantrip, so it's just kind of flavorful to have. But it makes it better because it's going to scale up eventually into a D10 and even D12. You're going to get extra attack with it. And then level 10, you can attack as a bonus action if you cast a druid cantrip. So you can really be in there like poison spray and whap something. So you can really try to be in there and be more of a frontliner. You can use Wild Chip to heal yourself, like we said, and you're going to get temp HP back started every one of your turns. So it sounds like it's a lot focused on combat, but in our opinion, a lot of this stuff isn't really impactful. It's all helpful, but it feels like it's just a lot of little stuff. Like the capstone, and that's part of the challenge, I think, is that some classes getting their capstones a lot earlier than others. It's like you can't give a paladin capstone to a druid at 14, obviously. But you look at some of the other druid subclasses, you feel like they get a whole lot more as they level up. So I like where this is going with this one. I like what it's trying to do with the this shillelagh focus, like get in there and whack with a magic stick druid, where you still get access to all of your spells. But what it's really giving you is not really enough that really rewards you for being in there as much. I would like to see it give you either more passive effects or more limited use stuff to let the shillelagh, I don't know, we put cleaving not really being a helpful thing in D&D all that much. But just other things like that, or maybe you could almost not like monk type effects, like knocking stuff down, prone, or pushing things away with shillelagh and things. Give you more battlefield control. Some other things to help bring up that floor. Yeah, maybe some more maneuvers with shillelagh that way to help it further. As we gave it a 3.5 out of a possible 5 in combat. It's definitely helping you because you're getting more survivability, more chances to heal, things like that. But there's just, I feel like it's giving you a decent floor, but it's a very low ceiling on what this subclass gives you.
Right, yeah. I think the big thing for me was, yes, you can kind of get 2 attacks essentially at 6. It's a level behind pretty much everyone else that can actually do that as part of their class. But you do still get that option. I think the biggest comparison for me is like College of Swords Bard.
Yeah, Swords Bard, for sure.
You're both full caster.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
It's trying to give you this like melee, fighter-based build, but you're a caster.
Yeah.
It gives you the healing to kind of help offset that a little bit, but you're, armor class, you're not getting anything with heavy armor or anything like that.
Yeah. It's almost like it's trying to give you a ranger multi-class without having to multi-class into ranger.
You're basically just spending your whole subclass that you could just
use it.
Multi-class and maybe get better things, like you just multi-class fighter for 5 levels instead of taking 6 levels in this.
The other thing it makes me think about, honestly, is Warlock in general. Because Warlock is so heavy focused around Eldritch Blast as you're consistent until you want to use your limited use spell stuff. Yeah. The difference is with Eldritch Invocations, you get so much more you can do with Eldritch Blast,
and you can
built
get all
into
the
there.
buffs built in.
Yeah, with that.
You can build. You don't have to choose them. But you will.
But you're going to take some of them anyway. So that you make you're as far as leaning into a cantrip really hard like this one wants to do. Again, flavor wise, I really like it. I just feel like that it's a very, very low ceiling on what you can do.
Right. And just, obviously we're already talking about synergy on here, but again, kind of a College of Swords thing where like some subclasses, they just have you pick a class feature and just double down, triple down on it. And it's like, you're just going to be really, really good at this one thing. And you have other subclasses that want to like spread out and diversify all of your abilities and try to make you more well-rounded. But those can be some of the most lackluster, I feel like, because try to make a full caster into a melee person just a lot of times doesn't work.
And it's really hard to get it right because you're afraid of making it as good at martial stuff as a regular martial class. It would be make it completely overpowered. Yeah. But if you don't give it some stuff, it's going to feel like it's completely underpowered. It's a hard line to walk.
Yeah, and I think what ends up happening is just ends up being like mediocre at both.
People end up erring on the side of underpower over overpower.
Because you have to think you're getting all this, melee fighter kind of stuff built in, but it's really not that much better than if you just took Shillelagh normally. Yes, you can get some of these little buffs to it, like increase the damage die and stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. Or you could just, cast a cantrip normally and do instead of 1d12, you're doing like 48 or 40-10 or with the cantrips that are already part of the class.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, So it's kind of just middling in there. It doesn't really do anything for your spells, which your whole class is really built around. You're a full caster. That and Wild Shape, which you do get an option for Wild Shape. That's kind of like, it's almost like a second wind from Fighter.
Yep.
But you know, it's kind of just whatever on there. It doesn't really help you all that much. The temp HP is nice. You're going to be getting a decent amount there, but that's at level 14. And you have to think, too, is if you were to take a different class or subclass with Druid, you're getting different options with Wild Shape, where if you just Wild Shaped, you would gain more hit points than, you know, if you just stayed and got the D10 or 2D10.
This is correct. I mean,
so, so even if you don't take Moon Druid, you're still going to get more, and you just kind of can chill in that form for a little bit till maybe the combat ends or just whatever. Because if you're in the combat and you're, you know, low, chances are the combat hasn't just started. Now, sometimes you just get surprised and, you know,
if
that hurts.
You happen to get, like, Finger of Death by a big scary wizard, like, to open and just happens to come at you, and it's like, well,
and you just
crap.
Wild Shape, stall until the combat's over.
Turn yourself into, like, a wolf. You can at least, like, do something.
And then heal yourself, which you can do because you're a druid. Yeah. So it's just, it's okay. So we gave it a 3 in the synergy because it doesn't really help very much with what you're trying to do, and we think maybe it's trying to go too much into that, like, Gish spellcaster fighter kind of thing, but just
it's this weird, not quite Eldritch Knight fighter thing. But
so an interesting subclass with the concept trying to make like a Gish druid instead of like, you know, like the Blade Singer wizard or Swords, you know, Hexblade warlock.
Careful.
That's pushing it a little bit because that's, you know, it's the warlock. It's not a real caster.
It's not a real. There are full casters, there are half casters, there are third caster subclasses, and then there is a warlock. It's its own thing.
They're their own.
It's its own thing.
But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications to know when all of our new videos are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching.